The stars burned cold and distant through the massive observation deck of the Galactic Council station. 12-year-old Kiran Patel pressed his small hand against the transparent barrier, watching the swirl of distant galaxies with wonder in his dark eyes. Behind him, the most powerful beings in the known universe argued about the fate of his species. "Humanity is too young," declared High Arbiter Vexthen, his crystalline form pulsing with ancient light. "They have possessed faster-than-light travel for merely 3 centuries. Their voices have no place in this chamber." Kiran turned slowly, his bare feet silent on the polished floor. The adults from Earth's delegation stood rigid with tension. Ambassador Nakamura's hands trembled slightly at his sides. Dr. Okonkwo clutched her data tablet like a shield. They had brought Kiran as a symbol of human potential, never expecting he would need to speak. But the council had demanded to examine a human child. They wanted to understand the species that had spread across 40 star systems in such a short time. They wanted to know if humanity posed a threat. "The child will answer our questions," commanded the hive mind representative, its collective consciousness speaking through 1,000 tiny floating spheres. "We will determine the truth of human nature through the innocent." Kiran walked forward, past the frightened diplomats who reached for him but dared not interfere. His simple earth clothes looked plain among the shimmering robes and energy fields of the alien delegates. He was small, he was young, but his mind held something the council had never encountered. "Ask your questions," Kiran said clearly. His voice did not waver. The Zinthara delegate, a being of pure thought given temporary physical form, leaned forward with curiosity. "Human child, what does your species value most?" Kiran considered the question. Around him, translator devices hummed, converting his words into 100 different languages and thought patterns. "We value connection," he said. "We are weak alone. One human can be hurt easily, but together we become something more. We build families, we build cities, we build dreams that last longer than any single life." The crystalline High Arbiter made a sound of dismissal. "All social species claim such things. The collective hive values unity. The stone minds value endurance. These are not unique traits." "No," Kiran agreed. "But the way we achieve them is different." He paused, and something flickered in his eyes. A strange light that had no source in the chamber. "May I tell you a story?" The council members exchanged looks of confusion. A story? They had expected scientific data. They had expected defensive arguments. A story was something they had not anticipated. "You may proceed," Zinthara said slowly. Kiran closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they glowed with soft golden fire. The diplomats from Earth gasped. They had not known. No one had known. Once, Kiran began, there was a flame that existed before time had meaning. It burned in the space between thoughts and the gap between one moment and the next. This flame was lonely because it had no one to share its warmth. The hive mind spheres stopped their constant motion. The stone mind representatives, massive beings carved from asteroids, leaned closer with grinding sounds. "So the flame divided itself," Kiran continued. "It placed tiny sparks in every thinking creature across every universe. Most beings never noticed these sparks. The sparks slept, waiting for the right moment to wake. What is the meaning of this?" High Arbiter Vexthen demanded. "We asked for answers, not mythology. This is the answer," Kiran replied calmly. "The flame chose humanity as its avatars. Not because we are stronger or smarter or more worthy, but because we remember how to share warmth. We remember that connection matters more than power." The golden light in his eyes grew brighter. Threads of fire, so thin they were almost invisible, began to extend from the child. They reached toward every being in the chamber. Not threatening, inviting. "I am the avatar of the eternal flame mind," Kiran said. "I have been awake since I was 3 years old. I have watched my people struggle and fail and get back up again. I have seen them choose kindness when cruelty would be easier. I have seen them sacrifice everything for strangers they will never meet. The threads of light touched the council members. Through that connection, they felt something they had never experienced. They felt human hope, human love, human stubborn refusal to give up even when everything seemed lost. The Zinthara trembled with the intensity of the emotions. This is what drives your species. Yes, Kieran said. We carry pieces of each other inside us. When one human hurts, others feel it. When one human dreams, others share that dream. We are not a collection of individuals. We are a web of souls, all connected by invisible threads. High Arbiter Vexthan's crystalline form flickered with new colors. If you possess such power, child, why reveal it now? You could have remained hidden. You could have observed us secretly. Kieran smiled sadly. Because hiding is what led to this moment. Your council has spent 1,000 years making decisions about species without truly understanding them. You judge from outside, never feeling what they feel. I am here to offer something different. What do you offer? The hive mind asked, genuinely curious now. Connection, Kieran said. The same thing humanity has always offered. Let me show you what we see when we look at the stars. Let me share the wonder that has driven us to explore, to learn, to reach out our hands in friendship, even when we are afraid. The threads of light pulsed gently. Through them, the council experienced a human child looking up at the night sky for the first time. They felt the pure amazement, the desperate need to know what existed beyond the familiar world. They understood for just a moment why humanity had spread so far so fast. It was not conquest, it was not fear, it was love. Love for the universe and everything in it. Ambassador Nakamura found his voice. Kieran. We did not know. I know, the boy said gently. The eternal flame mind does not seek worship or obedience. It only wants what humanity has always wanted. To not be alone. To share warmth with others. To build something beautiful together. The council fell silent, each member processing what they had experienced. For the first time in their long existence, they had touched something beyond their understanding. And it did not frighten them. It made them feel less alone too. High Arbiter Vexthan spoke slowly, his ancient wisdom mixing with new humility. Perhaps we have been asking the wrong questions about humanity. Perhaps the question is not whether you are ready to join us. Perhaps the question is whether we are ready to join you. Kieran nodded. The golden light in his eyes softened but did not fade. Then let us find out together. The chamber hummed with new possibilities. A child had changed everything with simple truth and open heart. The Galactic Council, rulers of 1,000 worlds, began to understand that wisdom did not always come with age. Sometimes it came from those small enough to remember what truly mattered. Outside the observation windows, the stars seemed to burn a little warmer, a little closer, a little less alone. The days that followed Kieran's revelation changed the galaxy forever. Word spread across countless star systems that a human child had touched the minds of the Galactic Council and shown them something new. Some species reacted with fear. Others responded with hope. But none could ignore what had happened. Kieran sat in a small garden on the station, surrounded by plants from 12 different worlds. Ambassador Nakamura sat beside him, struggling to find the right words. How long have you known? The ambassador finally asked, about being this avatar? Kieran picked a blue flower and twirled it between his fingers. The eternal flame mind first spoke to me when I was very young. I was sick with a high fever, and my mother was crying because she thought she would lose me. In that moment, something woke inside me. I felt all the love she had for me, all the hope and fear and desperate wishes. And I felt the same love coming from everywhere else, from my father, from the doctors, from strangers who had never met me, but who would have helped if they could. That sounds frightening for a child. It was beautiful, Kieran corrected gently. I learned that humans carry each other in their hearts. We do not need special powers to do this. The Eternal Flame Mind just helped me see what was already there. Ambassador Nakamura looked out at the alien flowers. The Council has called for a new vote. They want to decide humanity's status in the galactic community. I know, Kieran said. I felt their thoughts when I connected with them. Many are still afraid. They have seen species rise quickly before, and those species often caused great harm. They worry humanity will do the same. Will you speak to them again? Kieran shook his head. Words are not enough anymore. I need to show them what humanity truly means. Not just feelings, but actions. I need proof that our nature is worth trusting. The ambassador frowned. What kind of proof? Before Kieran could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the garden. Mechanical voices announced an emergency in 17 different languages. Something had gone terribly wrong. Kieran closed his eyes and reached out with his awareness. What he found made his heart pound with fear. A ship from the distant Void Collective had arrived at the station. The Void Collective was not part of the Galactic Council. They were ancient beings who had rejected connection long ago. They lived in darkness between galaxies, feeding on the energy of dying stars. And they had come to destroy the Council station because they sensed the Eternal Flame Mind. Light was their enemy. Warmth was their poison. They would not tolerate its presence in this galaxy. Kieran ran through the station corridors, his small legs carrying him faster than should have been possible. The golden fire in his eyes blazed brightly. Behind him, Ambassador Nakamura struggled to keep up, shouting into his communication device for security teams to protect the child. But Kieran did not want protection. He wanted to prevent a war. The observation deck had become a scene of chaos. Council members fled in all directions. Through the massive windows, a ship made of pure shadow hung in space. It absorbed light instead of reflecting it, a wound in reality that made eyes ache to look upon. Humans, a voice spoke from everywhere at once. The Void Collective communicated through vibrations in the fabric of space itself. You have awakened something that should have remained sleeping. The Eternal Flame Mind is a danger to all existence. It must be contained. The child must be taken. Kieran stepped forward, ignoring the hands that tried to pull him back. I will not be taken. And the Flame Mind is not a danger. It is a gift. A gift? The Void Collective's voice dripped with contempt. Fire consumes. Light blinds. Warmth weakens the cold that preserves. You understand nothing, small creature. I understand loneliness, Kieran said quietly. I felt yours when I connected with the Council. You hide in the darkness because connection hurts you. Somewhere in your ancient past, you were betrayed by those you trusted. So you decided to never trust again. The shadow ship flickered. For just a moment, the eternal darkness wavered. You cannot know this. You are just a child. Children see things adults forget to notice, Kieran replied. And the Eternal Flame Mind remembers everything, even the things you want to forget. He raised his small hands. Golden fire gathered in his palms, but not the aggressive fire of destruction. This was gentle warmth, like sunlight on skin after a long winter. He offered it toward the darkness. You were not always like this, Kieran continued. Long ago, before you became the Void Collective, you were beings of light and joy. You built wonders. You loved deeply. And when that love was destroyed, you chose to become the opposite of everything you had been. The council members who had not fled watched in amazement. A human child was negotiating with the most feared beings in the known universe, and somehow it was working. What do you want, child? The Void Collective asked. Its voice had lost some of its cold certainty. I want you to remember what warmth felt like, Kieran said. Not to become what you were. That is impossible. But to stop running from what you lost. To stop trying to destroy light just because darkness feels safer. He stepped closer to the window. His small hand pressed against the barrier that separated him from the vacuum of space. The golden fire flowed from his palm, through the transparent material, out into the void. It touched the shadow ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, tiny sparks of light appeared within the darkness. Not much, just hints of what had once existed. The Void Collective trembled with ancient memories they had buried for millions of years. "This hurts," the voice said. "Healing always hurts at first," Kieran replied, "but it gets better. I promise." The shadow ship began to pull away, not fleeing in anger, but retreating in confusion. Something had changed. Something had woken in the cold void that had forgotten what it meant to feel. "We will consider what you have shown us," the Void Collective said slowly. Perhaps we have been hiding too long." The ship slipped back into the darkness between stars. The alarms fell silent. The danger had passed. Kieran turned to find every member of the Galactic Council staring at him. High Arbiter Vexton's crystalline form glowed with new understanding. The hive mind spheres orbited around the child in a display of respect. Even the stone minds had moved their massive bodies closer to better observe this small being who had done what armies could not. "You offered them mercy," the Zinthra said in wonder. "You could have destroyed them with your power. Instead, you showed compassion. Destruction is easy," Kieran said tiredly. The effort had drained him. Any species can destroy. What makes humanity special is our ability to choose not to offer second chances, to believe that even the darkest hearts can remember how to feel light. Ambassador Nakamura finally reached the observation deck, breathing heavily. He found his young charge surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy, all treating him with newfound respect. "The vote," High Arbiter Vexton announced loudly. "We will hold it now. All council members present, speak your will. Should humanity be granted full membership in the Galactic Council?" One by one, the representatives voted. Every single one said yes. Kieran smiled. The golden fire in his eyes faded to a gentle warmth. He had done what he came to do, not through force or clever arguments, but through the simple act of being human, of showing kindness when cruelty was expected, of offering connection when isolation was easier. The stars outside the observation window seemed to pulse in approval. The eternal flame mind had found worthy avatars in humanity, not because they were perfect, but because they kept trying to be better. They kept reaching out their hands, even to enemies. They kept believing in second chances. And now, thanks to one small boy with a gift he never asked for, the galaxy would never be quite so cold or quite so lonely again. Intelligence had indeed secured universal peace, but it was not the cold intelligence of logic and calculation. It was the warm intelligence of empathy and love. Kieran took Ambassador Nakamura's hand and looked out at the endless stars. So many worlds. So many beings waiting to be connected. So much warmth waiting to be shared. The work was just beginning. And for the first time in galactic history, every species would do it together.